10 feet wide, and it's smoke tree wash, and it's there's probably 2,000 to 3,000 more brush strokes, and I'll be done with that. So, which doesn't really take that long if you think about someone going like this, for a number of hours. So, anyway, so that's that. So my evolution over time to get to these, I experimented with a lot of different things. There's my Chroma series, which is that really tall one up there, and other series. And over time, they started to morph into more this kind of work. That's why I call them morphic. It's the morphing together of an array of early work as I grew as an artist. So morphic. So that's my evolution. My process really is pretty straightforward. I start out with black canvases. And the reason for that is I want to create all the light you see. I don't want light bouncing off of a white canvas. I want to build up that light with many, many layers. And the canvases I use have multiple layers of gesso. Gesso is think of it as a primer for fine art paintings. And I have many layers put on, and then the top layer is jet black. And then I go from there. So under this is just a jet black canvas, right? So that's my process. I start, and the way I paint is I feel that, it's like muscle memory. I know what I kind of have this whole rhythm that I can dive into a large canvas like this, and I start painting very loosely and freely, and then I start picking out shapes and forms that I feel have merit or can evolve into something kind of interesting or distinctive. In this piece, and the other thing that goes on my head is lots of issues like compression and expansion, intense detail, and then kind of more open areas. The direction this is going to go in, if I can say, is it's probably what I don't like yet is I think the background is still too contrasty, and I want to have a more kind of atmospheric background amongst these nodes that are in it. And then there's a lot of refinement that's needed. I think that's kind of crude, and obviously that's going to be covered up and so forth. So they evolve over time. Someone asked me this morning if I sketch. Well, basically it's that first attack of the canvas that's the original sketch, right? And then I go from there and kind of keep sketching, and it becomes, I guess you shift from sketching to something that's going to be more definitive and part of the final work. So 12 feet, and a venture capital firm in Boston bought it, and it was through my New York dealer. And in advance, she said, "Are you sure you can get it? It's in the high rise. Are you sure you can get it up?" And they're like, "Yeah, we checked." And so from the elevator has, and sure enough, I get this frantic call. She's like, "Oh no, we don't know what to do. We may have to take it off the canvas," which I hate. I don't like. I think it disturbs it too much, and I just don't like that. But, and then she calls back, and they got a solution. They lowered the elevator down. Two guys got on top of the elevator with all the cables and held on to it and went up this high rise, and got it, and then we're able to stop it 4.5 down and kind of cinch it up and get it into the floor. So that was kind of
people almost don't.
So that's a little story. And I have more, but does anyone have any questions or?
Sure.
How do you know when a piece is done?
Okay, well, they asked Jackson Pollock, Life magazine asked, you all know the answer to this? No, okay. Life magazine asked Jackson Pollock, how do you know when a painting's done? Because how do you know when you're done with sex? You just know.
When the other person claps.
Well, one of you knows. Maybe the other doesn't know. I'm not done. Where are you going? But more seriously, I get to the point where I'm really satisfied with the piece, and I just feel like it's at its zenith, and if I keep pushing, I'm going to start ruining it. So that's often, that's kind of.
Maps we get. Is it topography? Is it architecture, like looking at homes, or, I mean, so what is there another?
I think the natural
aspect?
environment just more broadly, and even just walking in the desert, going on hikes and all that. I mean, this is you know, desert wash, and
Yeah.
one can imagine, and don't take it too literally, but you can see the water flowing. Maybe these are boulders in it, or clumps of vegetation, or whatever. Yeah, but you know, early on I was influenced by a lot of other artists and so forth, and now I kind of don't really look at other artists in reference to my own work, because I feel like I'm kind of, I like that I'm very much on my own path, you know. I don't want to be influenced by other artists. I appreciate other artists' work, but I there's almost like a firewall between what I see and what I do in the studio. Sydney?
This is such a large, I can't even imagine this as a blank black canvas. And it must be so scary to start. Do you start in the middle and work out, in the corner, or in any random place? Like,
I just, boom, boom, boom. I mean, I just really just dive in. I've been doing this for decades, so it's fearless. It's very exciting. And actually, what's interesting about it is there's an emotional arc that goes on during the creating of a painting, and the initial part is really fun because it's full of promise, right? It's like, it's very gestural and physical, and there's kind of, at that point, there's no mistakes, right? You're kind of laying groundwork, and in my head, I'm intentionally, it's not random. I know kind of what moves I want to make, but it's very fun, and there's this whole period of like, oh, this is gonna be a great painting, and then I step back, and there's moments where I go, it's not working. Oh no, and it's like, I feel like a little tugboat pushing a giant ocean liner, nudging, because you know, sometimes it takes a long time to get the piece where it needs to be, and it can be a struggle. But as I get towards, so emotionally, there's kind of a high, and then there's kind of this bumpy, like, not so much, and then I start getting it in the right place, and then it's exhilarating, and it's just, and as you get towards the end, it gets better and better and better. You get, I feel like God, you know, and then you know you're done. Don't go toward the light.
I have a question. That is ginormous, and some of these are even bigger. How do you physically paint a canvas that size? Does it go on the ground, or do you go on a ladder and do you spin it around? How does it
This will go as far down as here, or I'll just take it off the canvas and lean it. But still, that's 7 feet, and I'm 6'1", so it's a little awkward to really paint like this. I really don't like getting up on ladders and whatnot, so sometimes, like this morning I came in, this painting was actually upside down because yesterday I was working on that upper area.
Wow.
So I'm painting knowing that it's going to be turned the other way, so I gotta kind of like lay it in my head, or sometimes when they're really big like this, I might even lay it flat, say it on that table, and try to get the top edge. Move.
Paints other than oils? Is there a favorite oil brand you have? Do you only work with brushes? Do you use trowels? Like, what are your actual tools?
Yeah, right. That's important, right? Oil's my first love. Decades ago, I started painting. It was a love at first sight. A lot of artists go on a long journey of figuring out what materials suit them, and I was lucky. Oils. I do have some acrylics that I rarely use. Sometimes I might use it as a kind of an underpainting, just maybe kind of start it, but I rarely touch those. It's all about the oils. And I do brushes, and then I do something that, this is constant, it's in most paintings. I scrape on, not using a trowel or palette knives and so forth, because they're too firm. I like this cardboard because it's just the right amount of tension. So yeah, here's a cereal box, and boxes the paints come in and so forth. So, and I have them at all different sizes, tiny little one and bigger ones. I love this Trader Joe's. Anyway, yeah.
You begin with, or something that you begin, but do you work on a painting and then realize that it's moving you towards a memory that you have of it?
Both ways, yeah, absolutely. And I would tell people, don't take titles too literally, because often I'm not really sometimes I think, like in this painting I'm thinking about the place, but often I'm not. I'm at the point where I've painted so much that the paintings are often not about a place in as much as they're about previous work. You know, my body of work is pretty large, so you know, there's a whole series of Catalina Channel paintings that started with the idea of Catalina Channel, but now the recent ones are about the previous paintings, really.
Chase, how different is the final product from what you originally had in mind? Like, do you do a 180, or are you pretty consistent with what you had envisioned it to be?
Kind of both. There's somewhere I kind of know, like this painting here, I know I really want to do it just warm. I wanted to make it as warm as possible, and I really want to stick with that. Other times, there's been somewhere I'll be doing a blue painting, and it flips all the way to oranges. And what's great about that is there's still little blips of blue that are a nice counterpoint to the new palette I put on top. So both ways, yeah. Hi.
Do you ever color sample in nature, like do you collect items?
Great question. Steve and I were on Butterfly Beach this summer, and the color of these rocks are just so gorgeous. Look at just the subtle tones. So yes.
Wow.
So yes. I listen to I'll listen to I listen to NPR. My favorite's to listen to Joni Mitchell. There we go. It's all Joni. I mean, you listen. You know, frankly, one time I was listening to some pop music and I wasn't painting very well, and I switched to Joni, and I got so much better. Right? I was like, geez, Craig.
Yeah. Did you have any formal instruction or training to learn to paint, or is this something you took up on your own, or a friend kind of? How did you literally? I know you studied cartography, but how did you start? How did you make that leap, and then how did you get really initiated?
I am self-taught.
Okay.
You know, I had art classes in high school. I was kind of a rebel because I'm from a small kind of working class town in Michigan, and the art classes were really crafts classes, which, you know, and I was like, so, you know, people were pouring molds and then painting Santa Clauses, like pre-made Santa Clauses, right, and then painting them in the art class, and I'm like, that's not art, you know? So I was on the wheel throwing clay and creating what I think of as original, you know, so anyway, yeah, I self-taught, yeah.
How many layers will you typically, or is there a typical?
A lot. There's
So very deep.
Even an area that's kind of benign could have like 8 layers on it because I'm getting it lighter and lighter. Like I think I'm painting light, and then I step back and I go, it's not light enough, so I have to redo it. And one of the things I love to do is streaking is created by loading up a fairly wide brush with paint from, you know, different palettes. You know, I'll go like this and this, and then I'll go. Let's see. I'll just do it right now. I can fix it later. But, you know, just kind of, you know, go like that. See it next week. Yeah, now I'm getting a green there. Yes, they're all over.
How long does it take for all of that to dry?
Well, we're in the desert. So how long does it take for your hand to dry when you get on it?
But it's oil.
It's oil. Yeah, no, oil's much slower.
Yeah.
And that's great. It dries a lot faster than when I painted in LA. You know, it's much more humid there. So it's not a problem. Although sometimes I gotta like wait overnight or maybe 2 days sometimes. But sometimes it's good that it's semi. If it's semi or half dry, there's a nice stickiness that helps grab and does something interesting with the paint. So sometimes you don't want the layer. You can see this. See the note up there that has a big black box up there. See how rich that black is? Because that's multiple layers of black. And where it's black, I'm going to go in and put additional layers of black because there's black and then there's blacker than and it also you start to get a nice sheen if you have multiple layers, and I want a little sheen. And I love having some areas that are completely matte and then others that have a little sheen. Yes.
It was so great to have you here. Thank you again to Chris and Carol for setting this up. Thank you to all the members. Thank you for everything you do for us, for letting us do this, for giving us the opportunity to bring this into the community. Thank you to Steve and Shay. Steve, you're so good on the camera. That's it for Steve. I want to bring him as the wind beneath Chase's wings.
There we go.
And again, Chase Langford, thank you so much.